Hey everyone, welcome back to our On the Money YouTube channel, powered by Allied Wealth. Matt Stevenson here. And today I wanted to share a bit more insight into the number one threat that could potentially derail your retirement plan that you've worked so hard to build. And we may think that it's market volatility, all the ups and downs and the roller coaster of the stock market, especially these recent years. Perhaps it's running out of money. Making sure that we have enough to last these next 20 to 30 years. Timing on when to claim some of our income streams like Social Security, a pension, teacher's retirement. All these different factors are critical in making sure that you've got the right plan in place. But in fact, the first thing that we will need to address is what's happening between the ears. Yes, in fact, our emotions are the most likely culprit to derail everything that we've worked so hard for. And that makes perfect sense. When we go from accumulation mode, where we're socking money away for 10, 20, 30 years even, where we can afford the ability to ride the waves, we embrace that market volatility. Sometimes we're saving money at discounts into the market. Well, that's entirely different than when we get to that distribution mode where we need a paycheck replacement from all these dollars that we have saved to supplement these other income streams. And that's when we start to pay more close attention to what our money's doing. Perhaps we're looking for more consistent outcomes from our money. The market losses give us perhaps a bit more heartburn than they used to, because we don't have the time to make up for that gap and these potential losses like we did in our 20s, 30s, and perhaps our 40s, right? And anytime that we see market volatility and losses compound, it's always so much more powerful than our desire to seek gains, even in the best years of the market. And what I see so often is when we have those good years, people are okay being more aggressive. We want to take advantage of that. But when we have down years, as we've seen recently, people want to get out of harm's way as quickly as possible. And so we allow what we see around us, what we see on the news every night, and even our friends and family, to impact what we do with our money. And these emotionally based decisions can cause more of a whipsawing effect than perhaps we realize, and it can lead to a lot of paralysis as far as what our money does moving forward. Now, there's a company based out of California called Dalbar. The interesting thing about what Dalbar does is they do a lot of research on investor behavior and really supporting this idea of emotional-based decisions being a culprit in derailing a retirement plan. What they found each year for nearly 30 years now is that the average investor gets about 1/2 of whatever the stock market returns are. So say, for example, the average return for the stock market over 10 years is 8%. A lot of investors are getting about half of that, 4%. And it's not because we're maybe not invested in the right tools, or maybe we should use that fund instead of this fund. Again, those things are important to understand, but it's the emotions that get in the way when we have all these risks on the table. I have an example of one of our clients who had a lot of company stock they had held on to in those early years of retirement. And when we saw a lot of this volatility unfold here over the last few years, that company's stock lost about 70% of its value from its all-time high. Now that causes a lot of heartburn for most anybody watching this video, right? And it especially did with this client. And he did something that is counter to what we're always taught. You hear the old adage of buy low, sell high? Well, that's incredibly difficult to do when you're in the middle of retirement mode. You need to maintain your lifestyle, and your family members are depending on you to be able to do that and support the things that you want and need to do. So this client did something he perhaps shouldn't have done, and he sold his company stock at the very bottom of the stock market 3 years ago. Now the challenge was he never got back into the market. Not only did he allow his emotions to influence what he did in selling that stock, but he also allowed his emotions to influence his decision to never get back into the market. And that added up to almost $1 million in lost value in his nest egg, in addition to that time that you can never get back. And so this is a really good example of what we want to avoid doing in retirement, is allowing what's between the ears to influence the most important thing about the next 20 or 30 years, which is, how can I make it over that time and enjoy my life, maintain my lifestyle and my vision without running out of money or income in the process? And so what are some of the ways that we can do that? Well, we have to understand the power of these emotions, our desire to minimize risk and loss. And what do we do about that? Well, let's seek more consistency with how our dollars operate. Instead of perhaps getting all the market upside in the very best years, maybe we give up a little bit of that if it also means we can mitigate some of the worst outcomes when the market itself derails over the course of time. And by tightening up our range of outcomes, and most importantly, having a sound, systematic process that we can abide by that helps us get off of this emotional and this monetary roller coaster and make sure that your retirement plan stays on the right track. Folks, as always, if you enjoy our content, make sure to hit the like button and make sure to subscribe to our content for more to come. See you soon.